for the thing.
Good evening. This is a regular city council meeting of the city of Ocean Shores. It is May 13th, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. The meeting is being held at the Ocean Shores Convention Center. The meetings are simulcast and archived on KOSW Radio. Meetings are live streamed with closed captioning and may be accessed on the city website under council recordings. The meeting can be viewed on cable channel 68 Thursdays at 12 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Sires?
Here.
Councilmember Taylor?
Here.
Councilmember Griebel?
Here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Scott?
Here.
Councilmember Wills?
Here.
Councilmember Hartman?
Here. All right, thanks. Tom, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, can I get approval for the meeting agenda?
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks. We have no ceremonies or proclamations. Board and committee vacancies. We have 3 vacancies on the Parks Board, 2 vacancies on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, 2 vacancies on the Library Board of Trustees, and 1 vacancy on the Airport Development and Operating Committee. Tonight I have 1 appointment with council consensus. I would like to appoint Daryl Prouse to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Yes.
All in favor? All right, thank you very much. All right, next up, we have a Library Board of Trustees report. That's going to be by Jeff Britton.
Here. Keith is not here tonight. She's ill. I'll be delivering her portion of the report as well. The strategic plan for 2025 is now ready. It includes the vision and mission statements. The strategic plan was first created in 2018 and was revised last year in 2024. The highlights include providing a comfortable and safe place to visit, connecting to the online world, stimulating imagination through reading, viewing, and listening for pleasure, and promoting lifetime learning. May items from our calendar. The Friends of the Library book sale will be Friday, May 23rd, for members only at noon, 1 p.m. for the public, and Saturday, May 24th at 10 o'clock. Computer class, Internet Safety, Wednesday, May 21st at 9:30, and space is limited. Mount St. Helens, Friday, May 16th at 1 o'clock from the 1980 eruption. National Guard helicopter pilot Mike Cairns will present his heroic search and rescue actions. June items. Level Up Your Library. Summer reading plan poster is on display. The Ice Cream Social and Solstice Celebration will be Friday, June 20th from 1 to 3. And the Jeff Evans Magic Show will be Thursday, June 26th from 2 to 3. June items. The Master Gardener's Children's Craft Program will be Saturday, June 7th from noon to 4, and that's for children ages 6 to 11. The Ice Cream Social, by the way, is all ages. Adults can craft a seashell wind chime. Children can paint rocks and make a sun catcher. And Raven the Clown will be there. So that is our report.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Ocean Shores Golf Course Quarterly Report, and that's by Michael Fosnick.
There we go. Good evening, everyone. Happy to present a quarterly report on the golf course. It's more of a storytelling. The quarterly report will be available, I believe, on the website, so you can go through detail by detail. It's a 2-page report, but I'm just going to gloss over the challenges and the victories that we had in the first 3 months of the year. So challenges were we had about 8 good days of golf in the first 3 months. January wasn't bad, but February, March was really, really rough. Golf course flooded, and I think out of those 8 days, maybe 5 of them we actually did any significant revenue. So challenges were there, but positive things. I think we were able to extend complimentary playing privileges to the high school golf team. That's notated in the report as well. Our new golf professional, Michael Catani, worked with the golf coach and the players. We were able to outfit them with some equipment, and I know they've been sponsored by a lot of community members here. It's much appreciated. It's a young and growing program, which we want to see youth continuing to develop their skills in this game. When it comes to the pro spotlight, you'll see some of the challenges also. I don't know if you knew we had a storm in the fall and our driving range nets fell down. Kind of probably a popular subject. I want to thank Becky Leach and the city for doing it right and actually going out and getting the bids and doing the due diligence to get the nets back up. So positive is we are opening the driving range tomorrow. So back in business there. So there's some pictures in the report that show just how bad the nets had gotten. We took the bad weather as an opportunity for us to order product for the season. So knowing that our golfers are going to be coming back out when the weather improves. So the shop is pretty fully stocked with merchandise now for golfers when they come in. Our food and beverage, we're looking to kind of streamline our offerings. I think we tried to offer too much, and we realized that we don't do a lot of food and beverage business. I think people are looking for just a simple sandwich or a hot dog or things like that. So Michael's working with our team to streamline those things. Financials, I'm just going to go over some highlights here. $135,000 in revenue first 3 months of the year, down about $12,000 to the year before, primarily because we did not have the driving range open at all. So we look to make a lot of that back up now that the range is going to be open. We actually saved payroll over last year. Our payroll at $76,000 was $5,000 less than the year before. We did have one of our employees, Pat Opal, go from full-time to part-time, and we paid out his PTO, so that was a big part of the salary. But Michael's team did a good job of really watching the payroll when the weather was not conducive to golf. We were sending part-timers home, things like that. So actually, our EBITDA, our net income for the quarter, we lost $11,700 in 2024, which is right on cue to budget. This year we lost 19. It was a delta of about $7,000 difference. If we did have the driving range revenue, I think we'd be right where we're supposed to be. So I think the good thing is we're in really good shape going into the golf season. We've added 15 extra seasonal golf car rentals. Our problems that we've had in the past is we just don't have enough golf cars, and golfers come out to play and want to play, and we don't have enough, and we'd run out at 8 a.m. So brand new range balls are going in the system. We've added a dispenser, so the balls will be, it'll definitely generate more revenue. We'll have a lot less theft, a lot less, ball complementary use, so to speak. So, and then new driving range mats as well. So we're in pretty good shape going into the season. And April, we don't have financials yet. but April was definitely a positive month, and May's been a positive month as well. So looking forward to really getting off to our golf season, which pretty much unofficially starts Memorial Day weekend. So any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Right, next up, we have public communication. And public communication to council is intended for communication to the city council regarding general council business or policy not on tonight's agenda. Address comments and questions to the city council body, not to an individual member or city staff. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We request that the comments be nice and respectful. This is not a question and answer time, and the council cannot engage in conversation with the public. No person may use a public comment for the purpose of campaigning or advertisement. The city council will begin the time once the citizen has started their public comment. At 2 minutes, you will see a green light followed by a yellow light indicating 30 seconds remain in the public comment period. The red light will notify the reader that the public comment time has ended. Order of public comments will be first individuals attending in person, second individuals attending remotely, and the general public comments, whether in person or remotely, will continue in the usual position on the agenda. So Scott, who do we got up?
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. We have no remote public comment on the general agenda, but we do have it on several of the items. Pardon me? On the general? I've got Don Williams on the Transportation Benefit District. Oh, so he wants to put that under general? Okay. All right, so then the first one is Susan Canary being nice.
I believe it's on now. Thank you. Susan Canary, Mayor and Council. I want to address a recurring message that precedes public comment. The request that we be, quote, respectful and nice. While I agree that personal attacks and disruption have no place in this chamber, I remind this body that the right to speak here should not hinge on whether our words are perceived as nice. We come to this podium because we care deeply. Passion is not disrespect. Frustration is not incivility. And hard truths are not personal attacks. When our concerns are minimized with vague calls for niceness, it can feel like an attempt to suppress dissent. That's not the purpose of this public forum. The First Amendment doesn't guarantee comfort. It guarantees the right to speak, especially when the message is uncomfortable. As long as we follow the rules of law and do not disrupt this meeting, we have the right to voice our views, whether those views are complimentary or critical, whether you agree with them or not. We must not confuse niceness with the real work of democracy. We do not stand here to please or to soften our concerns for anyone's comfort. We stand here to be heard, to speak the truth, and to challenge what needs to be challenged. So let us be clear. Our voices may be loud, they will be passionate, and they will always be true. And we will not be silenced by your request and expectation of being nice. Thank you.
Gene Stevens, Interpretive Center updates.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and city staff. I'm Gene Stevens. I'm the chair of the Coastal Interpretive Center Board of Directors, and I'm pleased tonight to present a brief summary of the many activities the Interpretive Center is leading and is involved in. And first, the Interpretive Center staff with the city planning staff and Christina continue the discussions regarding the weather wax mitigation. And to enhance the understanding, visibility, and enjoyment of this beautiful area, The Interpretive Center will be providing free monthly tours throughout the rest of the year. Second, the Interpretive Center is pleased to share that next to the school system and the YMCA in Aberdeen, the center has become the largest nonprofit center for education in Grays Harbor County. So far this year, the center has hosted over 20 field trips to the museum with educational activities, and this amounts to over 400 students from the not only Grays Harbor area, but outreaching other communities. And a nice side benefit, we think, is that the children who've been enthusiastic tell their parents, and they're now coming back to Ocean Shores and coming back to the center for more visits. And we see this as a great outreach. And then third, I want to invite all of you to come, even for a few minutes, to the Interpretive Center this Friday. We are starting between 4 and 6:30 p.m. and hosting an open house to kick off the season for the summer session. And please come and see the new installation of the historic Welcome to Ocean Shores chainsaw sign that was at the entrance to our city that has now been relocated to the Interpretive Center. The city crew has just done a wonderful job, and we're very pleased to show this off and have this a part of the center as Ocean Shores history. So again, I would really please come see our new displays, help us get ready for the summer. We're having beverages and snacks. So this is this Friday, May 16th from 4 to 6:30, and we'd love to see you come. Thank you.
Sylvia Fain, protesters.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Fain, Mayor and Council. I've only done this once before, so I'm here because I am one of the organizers, or kind of the main organizer of the protests that are going on. We're hearing, we hear little things about the problems that people are complaining about, and I just wanted to clarify exactly what's going on. First of all, we've had 4 protests where we've had between 40 and 500 people. It's all of that is pretty much homegrown. They just appear. No one's been bussed in, none of that baloney. It's a wonderful group of people. They're there for a reason. They want to speak about their safety, their concerns, their livelihoods. When people come, what I see are people in wheelchairs, in walkers, prosthetic legs, no hair, cancer, oxygen, from 90 years old to 10 or even less. These people are there every time we have a protest not because they hate a certain anything, but because they're terrified. They're threatened. Their livelihood is at stake. They're going to lose possibly their homes. I've had women tell me, I cry all day long in bed. This is the only thing that helps me feel like I have a voice. So I feel very compelled to keep doing these protests to give people the voices that they deserve to have. We are running into some roadblocks, and that's why I wanted to address this. We're a fairly conservative community. We've had some issues with people telling people wrong times to come to protest, so they miss them. We've had people park all their cars in the accessible parking areas, so our elders and our immobile people have difficulty even getting to that area. I think that's really rude, and I would appreciate and hope that as a community we could at least respect each other enough to, let each person have their say and have their voice. I would encourage each of you community members to come and meet these people, talk to them. It's amazing. They come from Westport, Montesano, Taholia had 2 carloads of people that came down. We have people from Hoquiam. We have people from all over the place, and they all want to come back and for the next one. When is the next one?
That's time.
Sorry. I will say, can I say one more thing?
No, that's
All right. Okay. Thank you. And I hope guys.
All right, now we're off to staff report.
No, wait, we've got one.
Oh,
Don
one
Williams.
online.
Don, Transportation Benefit District. Don Williams. Are you with me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
We hear you super well because it's a little loud in here. All right.
Okay.
I'll let you go, John.
Yeah, I have some comments about the upcoming agenda of the Transportation Benefit District number 3. Coming up, and it has to do with budget request number 3. And maybe I can get some comments from these. My first comment is apparently they selected to do this striping work, a company called Specialized Pavement Markings, and it's on page 16. And they were the awardee, I believe. And I wonder if the city has any experience with this company, because I recall last summer the work that was done by whoever did it was not acceptable, and a lot of it has to be redone. So I just want to make sure that we have a different contractor this year. My next question is that there's over 18 areas to be striped that are shown in that table on page 14, but there's only 16 areas shown on the map, and I'm wondering why we're missing number 17 and number 18. And I also see another comment is that I see on the table on page 14 that there will be some stripes in the city done in yellow. I don't remember ever seeing any stripes in the city other than white. And I'm wondering why we've chosen to use yellow striping, and what are the requirements for those stripes. So I hope those questions will be answered, especially the one about the qualifications of the vendor that's been selected. And I thank you very much.
All right. That concludes public comment for this evening.
All right, city administrators report.
All right. I'll keep this brief. I'll start off with just some of the projects that we're working on and 2 things that are going to be coming to council at the next council agenda. One is our Cooperative Technical Partners Grant. That is for the remnant jetty study, and we are looking at trying to find a way to rebuild the remnant jetty that cuts across Oyhut Bay there in order to mitigate and offset erosion issues, and that will be coming to council at the next council meeting. And in addition, our surface transportation plan, or STIP plan, will also be coming to council when we review all of the items that we have for the STIP. We are working on our 1 million gallon water tanks, and this project is commencing in the next 2 weeks. The lifts have been delivered, and the contractor was here last week to take the measurements. Our lake and canal master plan from Herrera was originally due in June. They want extra time to work on some sections of it, so they may not be finalized with all of it until August, but we would like to have the majority of it done in June so we can begin the work that we're going to need to do in order to addressing some of the issues with our fresh waterways. And then the wastewater capital plan and rate study is being worked on by SCJ Alliance, and we should have a draft to council by the end of June for that rate study. And then lastly, as Don Williams was partially alluding to, the street striping bid is going to council for next week, and that will be Transportation Benefit District funded. In addition to the projects, Ocean Shores will be on Evening Magazine tomorrow night at 7:30 on King 5. The mayor and myself, along with George Lee, our convention center manager, have been working with both Westport and Grace Harbor County on some of our LTAC. One of the things that came out of it was this short segment that will be on Grace Harbor tourism, and Ocean Shores will be featured in that. And we've also been in meetings with the Ocean Shores Marketing Coalition. And lastly, for this evening, we do have the Clean Shores events for the Jeeps that are coming in. I won't read off their entire schedule because it's a 3-day duration, and there's quite a number of events that are taking place. But there will be an airport closure that will be taking place from about 2 o'clock on Saturday to 6 o'clock on Saturday. We will be closing the airport as the Jeeps go out there and spell the word believe. And I'm really excited, and we'll welcome them to the city. So that's the city administrator report. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So now we move on to council liaison reports and council committee reports. We'll start with Denise.
Well, I don't have much to report this week. We did have a working meeting of the Finance Committee last night, and we looked at some preview of some changes and simplification in the budget, which will be coming to all of council soon. Other than that, my Finance Committee and Public Works were canceled.
Right, thanks. Tom?
I have nothing.
All right, Lisa Griebel.
Thank you. I have nothing to report.
Lisa Scott?
Well, both the golf course and library gave the report, so I'm good there. I did attend agenda setting, so that's about it. The rest of the meetings typically fall in the third week. So being the first meeting of the month, I don't have anything either.
Thanks. Allison?
I attended the finance work session last night, and then next week, Public Safety and Finance Committee will be meeting again.
All right, thanks. Rich?
I attended agenda review.
Richard?
So save the best for last. I have a lot because the first 2 weeks are my busy time as liaison. To start off with, I signed warrants in each of this Fridays preceding this council meeting. I attended the Hotel Coalition meetings both on 1 May and a follow-on meeting on 6 May. The Hotel Coalition discussed the upcoming potential ordinance, and they were informed about how to get their comments in front of the city council. And I also want to say that thank you, Mayor Elduin, for appointing me as a liaison to that committee. My long-term hope and goal is that that committee morphs into a hospitality committee that involves all of the hotels and businesses and the convention center and the marketing group. And by the way, if you have not looked at the marketing group's website, please take a look. Visit oceanshores.com. I think they're doing a pretty darn good job. The Fresh Waterways, I had a meeting, and they did not elect officers, even though it was their first meeting, because one of the members could not attend that first meeting. So they're electing officers at their next meeting. However, they did discuss the IAVMP and the upcoming Herrera's Waterway Master Plan. The Finance Committee, I think that Denise has already covered that. It was a very fruitful working meeting last night, and that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mayor's report. Driving range netting was already mentioned, and that's been repaired. Sorry it took so long. Our first request for bids, we only got one responsible bidder, so I asked Becky to put it back out for bid. And the second time we received 3 bids, and at a much lower cost, we saved $33,275 putting it back out and getting 3 responsible bidders on that. So that paid off to do that for sure. Our North Beach High School is having a Hayak's first classic golf tournament. They've been working with both the Michaels, and I appreciate those guys helping out the school for that. And that tournament will be on June 21st at our Ocean Shores Golf Course, of course. And the proceeds will go to benefit North Beach Athletics. So if you like to golf and you got time, check that out for sure. One of the questions that we've heard from a few people is about FEMA and canceling BRIC grants. They have done some of that. Obviously, we've been affected by that, but I can tell you that the work that was planned for the rebuild of the North Jetty is still moving forward. So we did not lose the funding for that particular project. The Convention Center soffit repair and repaint, that'll be completed June 24th. So everything should be gone by the time we do our sand and sawdust celebration out there. Also, tomorrow we'll be choosing a contractor for the delineation that we need for the fire break. So we're going to be moving forward with the process of doing that, and that'll be, fire break will be going in behind the homes along Ocean Shores Boulevard and Sand Dune. If any of you been down there, you can know how thick the wax myrtle and the brush is down there, and we have a serious situation that we need to deal with and clean that out. And that will give our fire department access to fight the fire. And this is something that's been really important to our fire department to get this fire break put in. So we'll be moving forward on that, and that's all I got. So,
Like to make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
all,
Second.
yeah, all in favor? Sorry, thanks. All right, we're going to have a special meeting, so I'd like to recess the regular city council meeting at 6:30. And this, we will convene into a special meeting for our transportation district. And this will be presented by our project manager, Becky Leach.
Good evening, everybody. So we will be doing the striping again in 2025. And as Don Williams had said during public comment, the Specialized Paving Company is who was awarded the low bid. So the plan for 2025 includes the remainder of the city that was not completed last year. We're trying to get on a 2-year cycle instead of a 3-year cycle, and this will put us on a 2-year cycle. Striping will include, again, the glass beads for reflective markings, and also the roundabout torch down markings are also included this year, so we'll definitely see that done correctly. This year's striping is to be paid out of the Transportation Benefit District funds, and we do have experience with the vendor who was low bid. I spoke with Jenny Belcher in purchasing when their bid came in as low bid, because I personally haven't worked with them before, but she said that the city has. She's been here quite a long time. And she said that we had great experience with them. So she personally was happy to see that that's who got the bid, the low bid for this project this year. We do have yellow striping, very little. If you look at the proposal page, you can see that compared to the white striping, we've got very little yellow in Ocean Shores, but we will be continuing yellow where it's already yellow. Also, last year's company is still planning to come back this year and redo what they did last year. So that will be fresh. All of the white we were unhappy with, and they will be back to do all of the white from last year. So street department's going to be really busy cleaning before we get the striping done, but we'll get it done and it will look great.
And they're doing that at their cost.
They're doing that at their cost, no extra charge to us.
Yes. All right, any questions for Becky?
So Mr. Williams mentioned that there were 18, but only 16 listed. Do you know what that, okay.
Yeah, I do. I tried to get everything for him. There are there's a Google map that has 17, 18, and 19 on it because it wasn't on this original drawing. So I pulled a Google map up and drew it out on that. So those are on there. You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Yes, Richard.
Just a comment, if I remember driving rules correctly, the traffic on the other side of a yellow line is going in the other direction, and that's why it's yellow. And I don't know if everybody knew that or not, but that's why it's yellow.
All right, well, thanks for that. Anybody else got anything? All right, well, thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
All right, we will close it.
There's board action.
What?
In the special transportation benefit district meeting, it says there's board action. Page 13 of the agenda,
I'm not seeing it.
of the big agenda. You have to look at the big agenda. Page 13.
What are we approving? The striping contract?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's not on the page I got here, but I see it over there. So go ahead, Richard.
If it closes the loop, I would make a motion that we recognize the Transportation Benefit District thing was held and that we acknowledge it, and that's my motion. And does that make any sense?
No.
Nicole is indicating that there's some legal glitch that we may not be complying with.
No, she said there's a request for council action for the contract.
Well, Transportation Benefit District is a board made up of your council
Right.
members.
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
Make 'em-
so you guys, as the board, have to say, yes, you're good with this decision.
I make a motion that we approve the request for the Transportation Benefit District number 1 board to approve the 2025 budget request number 3 as presented by Becky Leach, project manager.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that wasn't on my page, but thanks for that. We will close the special meeting of Transportation Benefit District and reconvene the regular city council meeting at 6:35. We have no old business. We do have new business, and this is the ordinance of the city council of the city of Ocean Shores, Washington, repealing chapters 2.40, 2.48, 2.58, 2.60, 2.601, and 2.602 of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code, and resolution number 737, creating a new chapter 2.44, Citizens Advisory Boards and Committees, and that's established, and establish an effective date for that. So I can say that reason this all came about was we had the Washington State Auditor's Office look through our boards and committees and some of the things that were going on with that. And Sarah and Nicole found some inconsistencies in different areas in the different committees. And so they wrote up a new code for that so that there's more consistency and the boards and committees are kind of all on the same rules. And so that's what prompted this whole thing. And I don't know if Nicole would like to mention anything on that, but we're trying to clean up something here and make it so that the auditor's happy with it anyway.
So we've basically added clear and consistent processes for interviews, appointments, how and when we elect officers for the boards, when their terms are up, residency requirements, and we added a social media policy. The boards never had one before. The city officials have a social media policy. The city employees have a social media policy. We figured the boards should as well. We referenced a bunch of cities like Sunnyside, Shoreline, Woodland. We don't intend this to be passed on a first reading. We fully intended to go to a second. I think you covered everything that I was going to say.
Okay. This is a first reading, so we have public comment up now. If anybody has any public comment, go ahead.
Thank you, Susan Canary. I am the person who brought the inconsistencies to the attention of the state auditor. And the reason I did was because when I brought it to the attention of the city, I didn't get any response. Fortunately for us, if you think that public resources are being misused, there's a process in place that is easily navigated. You can file a report with the Washington State Auditor's Office, www.sao.wa.gov. Their website states, quote, "The State Auditor's Office conducts 3 types of investigations that begin with information reported by citizens or employees of state or local governments. There's a citizen hotline, a fraud program, and a whistleblower program. In the instant case, I utilize the citizen hotline." Again, from the auditor's website, quote, any citizen, whether a government employee or not, is welcome to send suggestions to improve government efficiency, praise a job well done, or report suspected waste, fraud, or abuse of government resources. We will follow up, evaluate the matter, and take any appropriate action. I'm grateful to the state auditor for accepting my hotline complaint and bringing it to the attention of the city, where this evening you, the council, has the opportunity to streamline the board and commission application process. And kudos absolutely to Nicole for including a social media policy. That's a long time coming. Congratulations. Thank you.
Anybody else have a public comment? All right, council. Oh, we have one online.
Don, are you there?
Yes, we okay?
Yep, we hear you perfectly. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Don Williams, just have a couple of comments about this. First comment is I'm wondering why the Civil Service Commission has been omitted from this particular ordinance, which is trying to unify all of the various committees together. I mean, I looked at it's in chapter, Municipal Code Chapter 2.52 covers the Civil Service Commission, and it seems very adaptable to this particular, this ordinance, and I think it ought to be included. My second issue is on page 29 in section H is dealing with attendance requirements of these boards and commissions. And if you read that, it talks about the boards and commissions attendance, but it also makes an exception to taking attendance for standing committees. Well, this ordinance has nothing to do with standing committees, so I'm wondering why it's even in there. This is the boards and commissions. This isn't standing committees like the city council has. So I'm wondering why that reference to standing committees was put in there at all. And my third comment is that this ordinance is to repeal several chapters in the municipal code and also to repeal a previous resolution. And although it's mentioned in the title, there's nothing in the ordinance that actually implements that repeal. And having in the title doesn't mean anything. It has to be in the ordinance. So you need to add a section that states that this is repealing those particular sections and also the resolution. Otherwise, they're not being repealed by just having it in the title. And those are my comments. Thank you very much.
All right, council, any questions or comments? I don't know who was first over there. Okay, Richard.
So I think that the city has done a good job in crafting this ordinance. And I will say that I have a concern, but I don't know enough, and I'm glad we're going to a second reading, I think. My question is about the library board changing from a governing board to an advisory board. And as I said, I just don't know enough, but other than that concern, and I'll research that between now and the next meeting, I think that's a good job. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say that question was responded to. There was an email sent out here later in the day that maybe, I don't know if you read it yet or not.
I received the email. I appreciate the response to the email. It does not allay my concern about keeping the library separate from I don't know, government overreach. I think about SQUIM and when it was taken over by QAnon and what impact that could have on the library. And my initial investigation says, yes, this is a good thing, but I still have concerns that I just want to finish investigating. Even though the response was concise and accurate, it still doesn't allay my concerns.
Okay, well.
I just need more information.
That's why we're doing that.
Yep. And I appreciate it.
That's why we got the first reading, but they can't be a governing board anymore because they're not on a levy and they're funded by the city. Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
So before I misspeak, are we still considering for this new ordinance, the page 39 of 83, it's got the committees, boards, and commissions matrix? That's part of our discussion tonight, right? That's potentially moving forward. So I know barely enough about the Civil Service Commission. Obviously, it says it has 5 members. I'm really confused about the, quote, only 2 from same political party requirement. Since we only have hypothetically 2 official parties and we have 5 members, that makes it impossible. But I don't even know why we would have under other requirements that there be only 2 people on the commission from the same political party.
So that matrix that's on there is from Resolution 737 that was passed in like 2016. That is the resolution that we're getting rid of.
So this whole chart is going to be replaced
Yes.
with what new
With-
chart?
Not a chart, just this ordinance.
Okay.
It lists out the only, all the term limits, all the
Okay.
only board that can't be a part of another board is the LTAC, and only if the other board receives LTAC funds.
Okay. That's why I asked that
Residency
question.
requirements. It lists all that out in the ordinance.
So the whole matrix is completely dead.
Yes, and that is an unofficial, what did she call it in her thing? An undeclared exhibit in the resolution.
Okay, I'll have to make notes for the next meeting then. Thank you.
Denise, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to respond partially to Richard's concerns because I don't have them. I have served on the library board, as many of you know. I am certainly glad to see the 5 years of a term go, because when I was initially appointed, I was filling a position which meant that ultimately I could have 13 years as a member of that board. And I certainly think we need both a wider pool who are willing to even serve, which I think the 2-year term does. Also, in my experience on the library board, we were never actually a governing board because we did not control the finances. And I am certainly not an expert of the RCW, but there generally is a distinction between libraries that are tax supported, that are tax funded, such as library districts. They are different than the city department libraries. So I'm assuming that you looked into that, but I don't see any conflict.
All right, thanks. Yes, Richard?
Thank you, Denise. That is exactly the kind of input that I was looking for that helps me understand why we're doing this, the reasoning behind it, and why it is the right way to go. And my primary other source of information is my wife, and I am cogent of the potential bias that getting information just for my wife. So I appreciate the other point of view. Thank you so much. Not to discredit my wife, but I liked multiple points of view. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yes, Rich?
Okay, so forget the chart. But if we go to page 33 of 83 and we go to D, where it says it's under LTAC, and it talks about annual review and removal of members. For some of the council members that were here 4 years ago, I believe, we had a lot of problem filling seats. And didn't we pass a resolution that was very descriptive with LTAC board members and how there were 2-year terms with 1 2-year term potentially as an extension if approved? How does that resolution fit with this new suggestion in D? Because we went back and forth for quite a while, as I recall.
I was not given that resolution in my research materials.
Can we make sure to look at that?
Yeah.
It would bring, okay.
1000%.
So if I might continue, Mr. Mayor, then I would ask if reasonable, if this council takes a look at what resolution was put forward 3-4 years ago, because maybe right this moment it's been easy to get some boards filled. I remember it being torturous in the past, and that's why they came up with the 2-year appointments and kind of fixed things.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, on that, I think we got an ethics violation because that we knowingly, that we didn't renew or it was crazy. So we did spend quite a bit of time on that particular item when we did the term limits. So you were correct. Thanks for remembering that.
The only thing I could think is if it is this resolution 737. I don't know.
Well, we got things to bring back for the next time we discuss this, obviously. Is there any other comments? All right, we'll move on to the next item here, and that's an ordinance of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending Ocean Shores Municipal Code 2.72 regarding emergency services in the event of a disaster for organization, preparation, and exercise of such services, for the creation of an Office of Emergency, and setting forth the duties and authority of such an office. And that will be presented by Assistant Chief Mike Mandela.
Thank you. That's quite a mouthful. I'm going to break it down and make it really simple. The existing ordinance and corresponding municipal code are 41 years old. And a lot has happened in the past 41 years if you just think about your own life. So I went back 25 years, and here's what I found. The city's population in 2000 is half of what it is today. It was 3,800, now it's 7,600. Quite a difference from 41 years ago. A lot of other things have happened. But the intention of this proposal to amend the ordinance and the municipal code is to bring us more into the 21st century and get a culture of emergency preparedness that is supported by senior leadership, the citizens, the businesses, et cetera. Because so much has changed in 41 years. We can't take and eat that whole elephant right now. We have to take very small bites. So this will be a long process to actually get us into the, I guess, modern times, for lack of a better term. When you think about it, looking at technology, looking at training, looking at codes and regulations and best practices developed by FEMA through the horrible lessons learned from Hurricane Katrina, from the collapse of the World Trade Center, and those sort of things, introduced the concepts now of interoperability, collaboration, public-private partnership that would involve emergency planning, that involves local citizens, and involves our businesses, so that everybody has a piece of the pie and gets a chance to solve the problem. But if you really want to break it down into common sense, we have a population of 7,800. We have an average age of that 7,800 that is in their 60s somewhere. We have a fire department with minimum staffing of sometimes 5 or 6 people, and the police department doesn't have much better staffing than the fire department does. We really need to rely on citizen involvement. And the more we can engage the citizens through workshops and education and provide the tools and the means to achieve the goal, the better off that this Ocean Shore city will be. I speak to you not only as a employee of the city, but as a resident. So I do have a vested interest in trying to propel ourselves forward by modifying, as you see in your packet, the resolution, the ordinance, and the municipal code.
All right, thank you. Public comment. Do we have any public comment out there? All right, seeing none. Council, questions or comments? Yes, Richard.
I think that this ordinance makes a great deal of sense, and I would like to make a motion that this city council pass an ordinance of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending Ocean Shores Municipal Code 2-72 regarding emergency services in the event of a disaster for the organization, preparation, and exercise of such services, for the creation of the Office of Emergency, and setting forth the duties and authority of such office.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any other comment? Yes, Lisa.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank you for this work and reminding us that there's lots more work to do in this area. And I appreciate that you talked about how you have to include all the different pieces of our community and always remember that you need to include our school district in that as well. And we do, while our average age is 60, we are really fortunate to currently have North Beach High School just right across the street from us, and including some high school kids in emergency preparedness because they could really step in an emergency and help this old lady out. So it's a
And
cool
do the heavy lifting.
All right, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So next up, we have a discussion on hotel cleanliness ordinance, and that's going to be led by Councilmember Richard Wills.
Thank you. So to start off with, I recognize that I got way deep in the weeds, and I want to pull back. So we're discussing the hotel standards draft ordinance this evening, and it starts on page 51 of your agenda packet. And it starts with the whereas statements, which clearly define why we need this ordinance. Today's discussion is primarily to allow both interested persons and city council members to comment on or suggest changes that eliminate ambiguity in the language of the ordinance. And the city will then compile those discussion points, incorporating those that are approved by the council into a draft ready for council action or approval that will come back. So after reading the ordinances, I want to clarify the listed WACs that I submit that they provide general clarifications. No, let me start over. After rereading the ordinance and the listed WACs, I submit a few general clarification or changes to be discussed and potentially approved by the council. So first, several people have suggested that inspections require a certified hotel inspector. On the basis of what I read in the ordinance, I kind of disagree. I think that any unbiased ethical professional can determine if there are holes in the walls or drapes, if the water temperature meets the WAC guidelines, which I think are 120 degrees, or any other clearly defined criteria listed throughout section 8.30.040 premises and conditions of the proposed ordinance. Now, that's not my decision, it's the city council decision, but I don't think that the city needs to invest in a certified inspector, but you guys may disagree, and that's why we're having this meeting. So the other thing I want to point out is that the WACs listed in the ordinance are Washington administrative state law. They provide all of the underlying structure for the entire ordinance. If anyone disagrees with them, there is a process for changing the law, but meanwhile, the city is obligated to comply with the law as it is written. So specifically, some generalities that I recognize that I would like to see removed, and I'm suggesting this as, and the council will make the decision. I don't like the like new condition. I'd like to see that be eliminated and replaced by the phrase be maintained in proper working condition without defects, pinch points, or holes. I also don't like normal wear and tear. It's ambiguous. And I would like to see that replaced by maintain in a sanitary operational condition. So I look forward to the council's suggestions on how to contact all of the facilities that are affected by this ordinance. I know that the Hotel Coalition meetings have done their best, but there is 33 people on their mailing list that represent 9 different hotel-type businesses, but only 4 of those businesses regularly attend the Hotel Coalition meetings. And so I would like the city to reach out to all of the hotel-type businesses, and I don't know quite how to do that, so I'm hoping that council has some suggestions. And let's see. Oh, I also contacted the Department of Health at the state level today and talked to Mary Roberts about this ordinance, and I learned some interesting things. The Department of Health at the state level, they normally inspect each hotel once every 2 to 3 years. If somebody files a complaint, a first-person complaint, then they generally can respond to that complaint within about 2 weeks, but that's not a guarantee. But they only respond to first-person complaints. So that means that if we, the city council, read poor reviews and call the Department of Health and say, we would like this inspected, tough cookies, because it's not a first-person complaint. This ordinance gives the city the legal wherewithal to go in, inspect, and discover a first-person complaint, and then impose our motivations to reach compliance, and then also reach out to the State Department for their additional support or motivation. So my goal for today is that the discussion stays focused on ambiguities or specific wording, and let's not go off into further weeds. So that's my introduction. And do you want me to handle comments, or do you want to handle comments, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Council. Susan Canary. I'm here tonight as a concerned citizen and as someone who's been in your shoes. I served on this council for 4 years. I know how hard it is to balance public expectations with responsible governance, but I also know where that line is, and this ordinance crosses it. Specifically, I'm talking about the language that says this proposal is to protect, quote, the health, safety, morals, and welfare of the community. Let me be clear, you were elected to serve the public, not to police its morality. Health and safety, absolutely within your lane. I fully support holding property owners accountable for clean rooms, basic hygiene, safety, and code compliance. But when we start legislating morals, when we regulate what looks good or what we think is respectable, we're no longer protecting the public. We are imposing values. That's government overreach. Who decides what's moral? Who decides what makes a hotel bad? Morality isn't one size fits all. It's personal, cultural, and often rooted in bias. And courts have been clear. Vague moral standards don't stand up under scrutiny. As written, this ordinance opens the door to discrimination. It reads less like a public health measure and more like a tool to target certain businesses based on appearance or reputation, not actual harm. To enforce this ordinance fairly, I urge you to build in objective safeguards. Inspectors should be properly credentialed in public health or environmental safety, and there must be a clear, accessible appeals process for businesses to challenge findings. Without these, enforcement risks being inconsistent or even abusive. If this council allows morals to become a foundation for policy, what comes next? What else will you regulate? Not because it's unsafe, but because it makes someone uncomfortable. Please strike the word morals from this ordinance. Stick to what's ethical, legal, and fair. That's the foundation of good governance, and it's what the public deserves. Thank you very much.
Have any other public comment? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Kurt Dooley. I actually agree with Susan with regard to the word morals, in that it should be more specific. What is immoral? It's going to be what's illegal. You don't want the hotels being used for flop houses or whatever. As far as what Councilmember Wills was saying about whether or not an inspector should be certified, I believe they should. Certification means training, and a trained eye can see more readily than an untrained eye what is wrong with a room, a building. So I would recommend that we use certified inspectors. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, go ahead.
My name is Jim Collins. I own the Collins Inn down at the end of the beach. My wife and I are finishing up 18 years. Can you believe that? We've been open 18 years down at that end of the beach. I just gotta ask this council one question, and I'll quit. I'll be really short tonight. Why am I the only bed and breakfast in this town? And why, for the last 18 years, have I been the only one over $200 a night for the rate? You know, we need to spend some time on overnight. We got some serious problems. How about the flagship down here on the corner? We got some serious problems with overnight in this town. This is no way to spend your time. This is no way to spend your time. You know, just in lost taxes alone of what's going on in this town right now and what I call owned and borrowed, you know, I know a family. I got a place at the beach. Give me $300-400 and you and the family can go spend the night at the beach. That's my competition. I'm going to leave with just that question. If you can answer that question for me, let me know. Because I don't want to be the only bed and breakfast in this town. It just irritates me from ground up. My wife's going to kill me for walking up here. We stayed out of politics for 18 years. Thanks. Thanks.
Any other comments? Go ahead.
Hi, Sylvia Fain again. I find it really odd that there would be something about morals in a hotel, you know, contract or whatever it is, because it's such a vague term. And what does that mean? Does that mean then you cancel and don't allow certain groups here? It just seems like something that is so subjective that it's something that really shouldn't be allowed even to be in a contract or in whatever writing that is. That's all I have to say about it.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, it's Darrell Prowse. I'm a resident of Ocean Shores, and in a previous life, I was a radio time salesman and TV time salesman. And our sales manager, whenever we'd go into a business, regardless of what kind of business it was, in our sales report, we had to write down, it was a confidential report back to the sales manager, the condition of the restroom. Because the restroom does not generate any revenue. It's 100% expense. And it takes a lot of money to keep it up. It takes time. It takes an employee, they have to go in there and do some work that they would perhaps rather not do or take them away from their regular activities. And they had to keep the space maintained just in consumables. So you have to have an adequate supply of consumables. So in all of this was in our sales report. And if you had we had to go to, if it was a restaurant or it was an appliance store, I went to all different types of businesses, and that was a steady question, what's the condition of the restroom? And if it was in bad shape, we would not give them any credit. It was cash money the barrelhead. Otherwise, you could be paying a net 10, net 20, whatever it was for your commercials. But if it was in bad shape, it was like, now you had to have cash money right now. And to this day, I cannot go into a restaurant without first going into the restroom to check it out. And if it's bad, I'll get up and leave, and I've done that. I haven't done it in this town, but I've done it elsewhere. I've just got up and said, no, we changed our mind, we have to go. And I mean, we were going to an appliance store, and it was an established appliance store, and it was a well-known place, and they gave them a bad review. So that's one of the indicators of a healthy business is a healthy public restroom. So that's one of the things I think that should be on your checklist. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, council. Oh, you got online. Sorry.
Eugene Kim.
Good evening, Mayor Eldwin, council members, and members of the public. My name is Eugene, and I've been the owner of the Comfort Inn & Suites here in Ocean Shores since June 30, 2021. I appreciate the city's focus on guest safety and cleanliness, which are values I take seriously as a hotel owner. However, I have real concerns about the proposed ordinance being implemented in a way that's rushed, unclear, and/or duplicative, especially for hotels that already meet high standards. Since I took over the property, Our average review scores across platforms like Booking.com and Expedia have increased from 2.91 to 3.97. This significant improvement is driven by hundreds of thousands of dollars in reinvestment and a deep commitment to ensure the best guest experience and streamline operations. As a branded hotel, we undergo biannual full-day inspections by Choice Hotels, a national brand with decades of experience setting, refining, and enforcing cleanliness and brand standards. These inspections are not optional. We're contractually obligated to comply, with failure leading to thousands in fines and the risk of losing our Comfort Inn & Suites brand entirely. With regard to public safety, we're also inspected by the Washington State Department of Health. When I took over in 2021, there were legitimate issues, but I worked closely with the department to address every concern, resolve complaints, and bring the property up to full standard. That accountability already exists, and it works. In researching the risks around local ordinance, I noted that cities can be vulnerable to legal challenges when ordinances are vague, unequally enforced, overly burdensome, or adopted without proper procedure. That's not a direction I want to see our city head toward or risk a lawsuit. If an ordinance must move forward, however, I respectfully ask that it include the following: a clear exemption process for hotels already under verified external inspections, a fair and transparent inspection process, not random, and scheduled outside of peak season to avoid guest disruption and operations, the use of qualified credentialed inspectors with standardized checklists and a clear appeals process, a focus on education and collaboration rather than jumping to punitive action or fines. While I have strong reservations about passing the proposed ordinances, if they are to be enacted, hotel owners must be a part of shaping it. I want Ocean Shores to succeed as much as I want my team and business to succeed. I'm happy to talk further and strongly urge you to also read through my more detailed written public comment. Thank you for your time and service.
And then lastly, Shannon Rubin.
Thank you. So while I appreciate Eugene's comments, I want to point out that he is one of the only branded hotels in town. So he's one of the only branded hotels that has corporate flagship standards that he has to maintain to, that he would get inspections by. The majority of your hotels in town are non-branded, independently owned. And while I respect some of the things he said, I want to point out to you that he had pointed out he had owned the hotel since 2021, I believe is what he said. This is 2025. As far as I can see, on an active basis, the Canterbury Inn is one of the only hotels that comes and talks to the council, writes emails to the council, and is participating since the last 9 years in trying to improve the city on different topics, whether we agree or not. I never thought I would see the day where I agreed with Richard on a single topic, but I want to make it very clear to Richard and the public that Richard has gone to the hotels on more than one occasion. He's been very transparent, and prior to Richard's arrival to the hotels on the coalition meetings, I was very transparent with them for the last year and a half about the need because of the reviews and what I was seeing in hotels. I came to you and I spoke to you and I reminded you about how I rented 5 different rooms at 5 different properties. I shared those pictures with you guys. As much as I respect what Eugene is saying, I have firsthand seen what other people are getting. Soap should not be an option when you're renting a hotel. It's a basic amenity that anyone that goes to rent a hotel, unless they're camping, but in a hotel, you expect soap, sheets, and towels. That's a basic necessity. If we are not providing them, we are running the risk of creating a stigma to our town. We will never get past the budget beach location when we have 5 or 6 hotels that consistently have bad reviews. I don't want you policing me any more than the next person. I will guarantee you that I have a housekeeper that probably has done something that is not right. I guarantee you I have a crumb someplace. But the thing is, if we don't change this, Ocean Shores' reputation is at risk. You're losing conventions. You're losing people from coming here. And that is the biggest issue. You're losing revenue. And I could run you statistical reports. I'm happy to do that to show you are losing money because people are going elsewhere. And if you don't come up with a mechanism to change this, to raise the standards, it's going to continue to go downhill.
That's time.
Right, that's our last comment. Council, any comments, questions? Yes, Lisa.
I have several, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in writing and get them.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, Denise.
Yeah, I do want to thank both Shannon and Richard for their incredible work on this. One of the questions that Richard asked, and really is my concern, is that it's unfortunate that the Hotel Coalition only has a small representation. So my question or my suggestion is that we really do reach out to all the hotels in town. My other concern is that this also does include the Airbnbs, the Verbos, and I'm not sure how to reach them. And they generally do have good reviews. I looked on both sites, and amazing what we have to offer in this town, whether it's a pirate's room or an Egyptian room. But I did talk to Sarah, and she said we could certainly send out letters to all the hotels, and I think we really do need to simply hold off until we make sure all of the hotels are aware of what we're doing. That said, I totally support doing the ordinance. I wish we didn't have to, but as Shannon said, it's impacting convention business, it's impacting tourism. I personally have had relatives who would not stay in this town again. So unfortunately, I do think we need to proceed with it. And I think Richard has done a phenomenal job in putting this together.
Thanks, Eddie. Go ahead, yes, Lisa.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Shannon for her persistence and just continually bringing it up so that it was finally something that we'd work on, and thank Richard for his very detail-oriented diligence with this. And Richard, could you just, I know we've discussed this, this is, I think, the second time. Could you just remind us again where the ordinance language came from? It's not something you just created on your own. Can you go back to kind of where you guys looked to start this process?
So thank you. And first I want to respond to Denise and thank you for the idea of mailing out. That's an expense to the city, but I think it's a relatively minor expense. And what I would like to see in that mail, in that letter, however it's formatted, is a link to the existing draft ordinance, not the original ordinance that we discussed at the last meeting, which is also on this ordinance, also on this agenda. And I want to point out and remind everybody that when I introduced this ordinance tonight, I specifically stipulated that we're discussing the ordinance that starts on page 51, and nowhere in the whereases or in that ordinance does it ever say morals. And so I appreciate the concern, and yes, that was in the original language. And Denise, the original, whoever asked it, the original language, that was Lisa, thank you. The original language, my memory was after looking at several cities, the city of Arlington, Texas, my daughter lives there, by the way, has the most comprehensive hotel type of standards ordinance that I could find, and that was the basis, and that's probably where that morals came from. I appreciate the comments. We're not regulating morals. We're regulating hotels and standards, and specifically the standards that are captured in paragraph, I think it's 8.30.02, whatever I named it in the front. And that list of standards, and in my mind, as I reviewed that standard this morning at 6 o'clock, started, I don't find a single thing that a competent, unbiased person looking at the building I can look at that door and say, there's a hole in that door. That doesn't meet the standard. I can stick a thermometer in the water coming out of the sink and say, that's only 47 degrees. The standard is 120. I can look at the laundry room and say the clean laundry and the dirty laundry is not separated. That's a violation of the WAC. There's not a single thing that I can see and identify in any of all of the sentences that are in 8.30. I think I have to look again, and I'm not going to take the time to look at my note. But that's what we are discussing, and I invite us, the council, and all of the public, when you go home and look at your computer and your agenda, focus on the first item 12, not the second item 12, and that's the language we're addressing, and those are the things that I hope that all of us come back at the next meeting and say, yes, we want to X out this, or we want to add that, or we like the way that it stands. So did I answer Lisa's question and Denise's? So thank you.
Yes, Lisa.
I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work you did. When you deal with life, health, safety issues, it's I believe you're going to need a qualified licensed inspector, just pure because that's the Washington State's a little bit more stricter. But I believe you will have to have somebody do that. Maybe one of the ways around this too is to treat this more. And I'm just flipping through ideas, and I really appreciate the public and the comments because it helps me think more outside of the box. And, maybe there's, if it's, throw it back to the hotels too, because they can hire their own licensed inspector and provide the report as well as the city doing it. There's so many things I think that we can do to make it a little bit more flexible. But as long as it's getting the basic needs met of what the premise is of this. So I appreciate all of the work that you did going into this. It's tremendous.
Yeah, Rich.
No, go ahead.
I appreciate the work that's been put into, and you can't say enough about Shannon's diligence, and thank you, Richard, for working with her. You guys talked about how do we reach out to hotels. I will say in the past, I probably worked for 2 years going to hotels and just trying to get past the front desk person and then being professional and giving them my card and then just asking for a call back from the appropriate general manager or actual owner. Probably about a 0 batting average there. So the fact that Mr. Kim called us today is such a massive step. It's going to take teamwork to make this happen. It's going to take the city caring. It's going to take the peer pressure from other hoteliers. But I do hate the overreach of government, and this has really bothered me. And I've said to more than a few of you, we have a county health department. Where are they? Well, I've been saying that for years. I'll say that for 20 more years so we can kick the can down the road like other council members have done in the past, or we say the buck stops here and we start actually doing something. What about the state? They have a whole department that you can call and complain. Well, the normal guest that goes to a place that has no shower curtain, that has torn linens or lack of linens, has no soap or shampoo, the last thing they think about doing is calling the state. They go online, they go to Google or wherever, and they make their reports there. So the state, as Richard found out, they might come out in a couple of weeks and look at something, but they don't really care about the torn sheets or the lack of shampoo. They look at other things. They aren't going to be a resource for us. So it's going to be what we're doing here that's going to make things better. We know that as this convention center has become better than it has ever been in the past, we all know, at least on council, the citizens need to know too, we have a problem with conventions because we don't have enough adequate hotel rooms that the out-of-town people want to stay in. And I'm sorry to say that out loud, but it's true. We have some really great hotels, But when a convention comes in and they need 400 rooms, I want you to start thinking about which hotels you might start referring people to and count how many rooms they have. And you'll find out you can't get to 300. So this is going to take all of us to help get better. I almost want to say something like, Mr. Hemstreet, come to Ocean Shores, visit your flagship hotel, support your local employees that are doing everything they can to make that hotel work. You give them no budget, you tell them no, and it's falling apart, and it's our flagship hotel, and it's an embarrassment. We need to move forward with something that makes sense. The hotels that do their job, Mr. Kim, he's not ever going to have a worry because of his processes. Mr. Collins, never going to have a problem because of your processes. But we have some places in town that are not following any process, and we as a city are losing business for all of our residents. It's a tax base, it's an LTAC, it's restaurant business, it's everything to do with what this town is partially built on, and we can't kick the can down the road any further. We've got to do something.
All right. Well said. I'll tell everybody this. We've already lost one convention. We also have a large one that comes in every year. They're going to use the convention center for their convention, but they're going to stay at the casino. So that's costing us a lot of business for our businesses because of that. We have another one that's looking at doing a contract with us here in town, and they bring 1,000 people in here. Where are we gonna put 1,000 people, like Rich says? So we've got some issues. I can tell you that George Lee has been doing a phenomenal job, like Rich said. He's busting his rear end. He's concerned about losing that one conference, and he's worried about losing others. So this is really an important and a serious situation that we need to get a hold of and straighten out. So, yes, Richard.
I wanted to respond to Lisa Scott and thank you. You have background that I don't have. I can see a hole in the door, but you're right. In order to meet the state WAC, we may have to have a certified inspector. In my mind, and what has driven me is I want to give the mayor the tools to help make the city better. And it's the mayor's job, it's his wheelhouse to decide who inspects and what their qualifications are. And the mayor has the resources to find out the legalities of who can inspect and then train that inspector if needed. That's not my or the city council's wheelhouse. And so that's a decision, and that's why we're having this discussion. I like what you said, Lisa, and I've always believed that discussions oftentimes cascade a waterfall of ideas that would have otherwise never materialized. And so I appreciate the comments that every person in this room has made, and all of the emails that I have received and read, and most of the council has read, and it's all part of the process. And I'd remind everybody, when we come back, when the city brings us back for action, that it will not include morals. It will include what starts on page 51, and I don't remember how many pages it goes, but it's a clear distinction between that and the original Arlington message that was a starting point. That's all it ever was a starting point. Okay, thank you. And I can't talk and look that up at the same time. Thank you. So I think that it feels to me like we have pretty much beat this horse as much as it deserves. And I invite the public and the council to come back with your ideas and focus on the specifics in the hotel room standards. And do any of those need to be addressed or changed, or do we need to add any? Mr. Proust, is that the right name? His idea about the bathrooms, inspecting bathrooms, that's a good telltale. And maybe that needs to be included in here, but we can address that as it comes back or at the next reading when it's back on the table. I hope that all makes sense to everybody.
All right, thanks. Anything else? Are we ready to put this to bed? All right. So we will move on to the next order of business, which is an executive session, and we will begin that executive session at 7:30. And I think that will be good for 10 minutes. So we should be back, anticipating being back at 7:40. This executive session will be that portion of the meeting which the governing body can consider the selection of a site or acquisition of real estate by lease or purchase when the public knowledge regarding such considerations would cause a likelihood of increased price, RCW 42.30.110(1)B, and there may be council action when we get back. All right. So we will reconvene here, and council, is there any action? Yes, Allison.
I would like to make a motion for us to purchase the modular that is now at Moby Dick's to have for our South Side Fire Station for $80,000.
Second.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Cyrus.
Yes.
Councilmember Cyrus is a yes. Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor is a yes. Councilmember Griebel.
Yes.
Councilmember Griebel is a yes. Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein is a yes. Councilmember Scott.
Yes.
Councilmember Scott is a yes. Councilmember Wills.
Yes.
Councilmember Wills is a yes. Councilmember Hartman.
I need to recuse.
Councilmember Hartman is a recusal. So we have 6 yeses and 1 recusal. So the motion passes.
All right, thank you. Next up, Agenda Review Committee. It'll be Councilmember Scott, Griebel, and Wills. And that will be this Thursday at 9 a.m. Now we have good of the order. Richard, would you like to start us off?
Bifocals. Any excuse is better than no excuse. So I continue to be impressed and want to thank Sarah and Shante for all of the work that they have done on the city finance documents. I also want to thank all of the Hotel Coalition participants for their contributions and comments to the Hotel Standards Draft Ordinance. We all want our city to prosper, be friendly, welcoming, and a fun place to live, work, and play. So thank everybody that was involved. Thanks.
I have
Rich.
nothing this evening.
Okay. Allison.
I have nothing.
Lisa.
I have one thing. So, and I'm going to hopefully do a more in-depth thank you. But I had the pleasure of being selected by the local IAFF or firefighters to participate in their fire ops training. So I was out of the state Thursday and Friday, going through the rigors, and Scott and I think Lisa Griebel have both done it. Incredible, just a reminder how incredible our fire department is, and our police department, our first responders. The work that they go through and the lives that, that are on the line, and they're there taking care of our community. And sometimes we lose sight of that. And one of the things that I learned was, taking off my City of Ocean Shores hat and putting on my work hat. I work for a city government, and I'm a general fund employee, the same as police and fire. And, when you talk budget cuts and times of crunch and crisis, sometimes it's easy as a department to go, why are we always getting cut? And why are police and fire, why aren't they? And there's a reason. They're there to serve our people. And it was just a really good eye opener for me. And again, I hope to go a little bit more in depth about what we went through, but just really an incredible opportunity.
Thank you. Lisa Griebel.
Thank you, Mayor. Just another reminder about the Jeeps at the Beach, the Clean Shores event this weekend. It'll be a great kickoff for our summer and all the tourists and visitors we're going to expect. But the parade starts at 1, so if you have nothing to do, there's all kinds of great locations to watch the Jeep parade and get some of those great rubber ducks that will be launched your way. So super excited about the weekend. And I also saw that the applications to participate in the Flag Day Parade are out. And again, I think we have one of the largest or the largest Flag Day Parade in the state of Washington. So if you want to be part of that parade, you can start filling out the application for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Tom.
I want to thank you all for staying with us.
I just wanted to add to Jeeps on the Beach is that the Ocean Shores Food Bank will be having barrels and will be collecting food at all of the major places where the Jeeps are going to be. I will be at the Family Fun Center, and There will be a trailer at Oi Hut, but we will have barrels all around town. So please consider dropping something in that. Anything that you would be interested in eating that's non-perishable, we can use. And we can also use food for cats and dogs because we cannot purchase food for them. So we depend on donations. And also want to call attention to the Memorial Day Friends of the Library book sale that Jeff already mentioned.
All right, Lisa Scott's got one more item to share.
Just a reminder, council chats, May 22nd. And I forget who's on this one. It's Lisa Griebel, myself, and no, I think it's Denise. Yeah, there was, the last time we had council chats, there was, we need to change the format up where we give everybody an opportunity to answer the question or do some kind of a different format. So we're going to handle that and get people back into it so that they can participate. But May 22nd here at 6 o'clock, I believe.
All right, that's good. Can I get an adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned.